This is the Amy Edwards Show, and I'm your host, Amy. This show is here to help all of us live our best life and feel amazing at absolutely every age. We focus on transformation and empowerment through practical tools, strategies, habits, and mindset shifts that will help you unlock your potential, build self-love, and embrace your unique journey. We'll cover everything from health and wellness to personal growth and spirituality with inspiring guests and real conversations. So if you are ready to level up, break out of your comfort zone, and make lasting changes, you're in the right place. It's never too late. In fact, some of your best days haven't even happened yet. Let's get to it. Love this moment and make the next one even shinier. Hello, and welcome to the Amy Edwards Show. I am so happy you're here because I have to say, he had me at hypnosis. I am so interested to talk to our guest today. It is Reg Malhotra, and Reg is the founder of Neuro Masters Academy. You're a transformational coach, a trainer, an author recognized by major platforms like Forbes, Psychology Today, Inc. magazine, the biggies. With expertise in NLP, hypnosis, and personal growth, you empower individuals to master their minds and take control of their futures. I'm so very here for it. You have your Neuro Masters Academy. You're all over social media and constantly inspiring thousands of people to step into their best lives. You're speaking my love language, I think, Reg, and I am just so happy to have a conversation with you today and share just some of your knowledge on the show. So welcome.
Thank you, Amy. Great to be here, and I love your energy.
I love yours too. And you know what? I'm so happy that we made this happen. And I am ready to jump in and talk. We were going to focus, I think, on relationships. And you said something to me that really just blew me away right before we started recording, which was 80% of people have trouble with their relationships. That is staggering, right? How did you get to that number? And how are you transforming your work to help people have better relationships? What does that look like?
Yes, so look, I was referring to the last couple of years in particular, or maybe since post-COVID. A lot of people come for, inner work. They come to change their life. A lot of business owners, they're stuck, plateaued, usual things that people do, seminars and personal growth work for. Over the last few years, we've found that when we get down to doing the work, the number one problem for most people, and I come to this 80% because we're seeing this in our academy, somewhere along the way, there is some relationship trauma, there is some divorce, there is some sexual trauma, there is, past relationships that have left an impact on people and they are struggling to get back into a relationship. And ultimately, it's all showing up as relationship with themselves. And so that's what I was referring to. It's a big area. We have really started to specialize in helping people overcome that. And the tools we teach, one way or another, do help people overcome that. Because if you let go of, negative emotions on significant emotional events from the past, if you change your idea of who you are, if you start to focus on your future and not living life from the past, ultimately, it does help people move forward. And that's what it's about. Everybody, Amy, wants to be in a relationship. I ask people, a lot of times people say, no, I'm not going back in a relationship. I said, okay, I'm going to ask you one small thing. Do you ever want to be in a relationship? 99% of the time, the answer is yes. So there is fear.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you mentioned that self piece of it, because what I've discovered is it's such a paradox. It is this self-work that actually facilitates healthy relationships. And so many times we're looking outside ourselves and blaming or whatever. So where do you tell people to start when they're in these probably cycles, I would think, of unhealthy relationships or no relationships?
Well, it starts with them. They must look within. They must look at what limiting beliefs and limiting decisions. This is a concept that I'm going to leave for your listeners today. It's going to be very powerful for everybody. So we may have heard of the term limiting beliefs. We use an idea called limiting decisions. You see, your life is a sum total, if you will, of all your conscious and unconscious decisions. So many times when a negative event occurs, we end up deciding something. We may not say it out, We end up deciding something. For example, when I was in high school, I auditioned for singing. I was really bad at it. And a whole bunch of people had a laugh. And I remember I walked the planet for, I think, 10 years after that, thinking that I cannot go in front of groups. Now, at that point, I experienced a cocktail, if you will, of sadness, of hurt, of anger, of shame. Those emotions are pretty heavy. When you experience emotions to that level, you can end up deciding something right on the spot. It may not be conscious. And that's what happens. Like, one of the first things we look at is, what are the limiting decisions you made? You see, any limiting beliefs are hard to change. But if you can go back to an event where a decision was made and we help them mechanically, they don't need to talk about it, undo the emotion from that event, that actually blows up the decision that was made there. So there's a series of decisions they made in past relationships, and we start there. We start getting rid of the decisions they made about themselves, about possibilities for the relationships, and about their future. You see, most people, this is another really striking fact I'm going to throw at you. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Most people are not open to receiving love.
How do you know that?
I know that through working with so many thousands of people. When I raise it, they're scared of it. People are running away from intimacy, and then they get far enough, they run away from abandonment, and it's this ping pong that we play throughout our lives. This shows up with weight, money, and love. We're scared of getting too intimate because we are scared of getting hurt and rejected, because that's happened to a lot of people. And if you allow love in, there is that possibility that you will be more hurt. See, all fears are fears of feelings. But then if we get too far away, then we might be fearing getting abandoned, and then that causes a different problem. So it's like ping pong, just like with weight. And the weight loss industry knows that. We get motivated to wanting to lose weight, and then we do something, and then when the weight starts to drop, guess what happens? The inner motivation goes, and we're back to it. Have you seen that? People go back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with love, and the same thing with money. Same thing. That's why people can never doesn't matter how much they earn, they go back to the same position. These are some deep psychological principles, but I thought I'll throw it in.
Yeah, well, and there's a big piece of worthiness in there too, right? Like, you don't feel worthy for the money or the love. And yeah, the love is a big one, right? And so I like what you said about, you go back and you dismantle this event and you change something. Like, okay, if time's not real, so if time is something that is, a dimension of what we're living in, then I'm not saying we can go travel back in the future, in the past necessarily, but don't we have some sort of quantum power to rewrite our story in a way that serves us? And I guess that's what NLP is doing. And I don't know what I'm getting at. I think I'm getting at, I thought of an event that I did, something I did to someone, thinking about it today. And I really feel bad about it. Like I do.
Right.
I let a lot of things go in my life, but this one gets me. I'm like, that was bad, and I shouldn't have done that to her. And I thought, is there a way for me to change that story? And I'm not saying lie to myself, but can I create a different outcome or something like that? Is that a part of hypnosis and a part of NLP?
It is a part of hypnosis and NLP. Interesting you said time, because the techniques that we use are actually called timeline. So we train people how to basically, in your minds, fly above your life. And the life is represented in the form of a timeline, your past and your future. And we have them travel. Yeah, we have them. In fact, I can give you a quick demo if you get a moment. But
Yes.
that event you just mentioned,
Yeah.
the moment you mentioned that, your state changed. And that's very interesting. Your tonality changed, your state changed, because you just relived that event. Just then.
Right.
So the brain doesn't, I'm going to use it brain because I don't know, is that a permission to go a little bit woo-woo here?
110%. Please go full woo, hypnosis, quantum, all of it. I'm here for it.
Okay, so, the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind that people often refer to, it, this intelligence that, is all around us. It stores all the information, the data. It makes sure we breathe when we go to sleep. It makes sure that the body is operating, That same intelligence is does not know the difference in real and imagine. That the same intelligence does not know the difference in past and the future. It doesn't. So we have people go into somewhat of a state of trance, which is a very powerful state for healing and learning. And we have them, the key thing is to not go into the event. See, when you spoke about the event, your brain goes back into the event because you run pictures and feelings and it thinks it's happening again. That's why it changes the state. So we have these techniques. So think of this as your lifeline, and you go, and this is the past and this is the future. We have people in their mind go above it, and then when they find the event, they have to take this position. So that's the future. They have to go before the event, remaining above, looking towards now where you are in physical reality. This is called the multi-dimensional neurological opposite of now. Some people refer to it colloquially as an mind F.
Wow. No, I love it. Wow.
You're pretty much fooling your mind because you are going before. What does it presuppose? If you can go before an event and look towards the future where you are in physical reality, what does that presuppose?
That it had to happen for me to get to where I am right now.
Sure. Or that it hasn't happened yet.
Or that it hasn't happened yet. Yeah.
Same event, right? And now in this position, if you can, there are certain learnings you want to get before you make your way back to now. So let's have a quick demo of it. Now, you don't have we have a formal process of eliciting the timeline, but I want you to do your best in flying above, right? Go above, right? So for example, you can go above right now. So the best way to do that right now is observe yourself from above in your mind. And as you do, I want you to turn and look towards the past. Just imagine that the past is in one direction.
Okay.
Right? And whenever this event happened, I want you to, whatever it was this month or last month, wherever it is,
It was like 30 years ago.
30 years ago. Okay, this will be more fun. So we're in 2024, right? I want you to go all the way before that 1997 or whatever that was. However your mind does it right now, because I haven't formally elicited your timeline, but we'll do the best we can. I want you to fly back. Now, the key thing is, Amy, remain above. Do not go into your timeline. Do not go in. If any event tries to pull you in, go higher and higher all the way up. Even if you go all the way up in the sky, it doesn't matter. But send a message to your brain that you're traveling to your past, go above it, and then find that event and then go right before that event so that you can see the event down there. But you're before it, all the way up, looking towards the future where you are today, okay? Let me know. Raise your right hand when you're there. Good. Remaining above. Are you feeling any emotion? If you're feeling any emotion, then you're in the event, and I haven't asked you to do that. Okay, good. Stay above all the way. Now, what is there to learn from this event? As you consider this event down there, remaining in this position, what is there to learn from this event? The learnings of which will allow you to let go of this pain, this problem, this suffering that you've had. What is there to learn from this event that, the learnings of which will allow you to let go of all of this effortlessly? And as you're ready, let me know the learnings. The learnings are typically something that will support you in the future. They can be anything. They can be a word, a phrase. Go ahead and speak them out as they come to you directly. You don't have to try and make them. Just let your mind present you. What is there to learn from this event? Remaining all the way up.
What is there to learn from this event? We're just doing the best we can in the moment.
That's powerful.
And yes, absolutely. We're doing the best we can in the moment. And I have compassion for people and their decisions. And
Very good.
we don't always make the right decision, and it's okay. We learn. Are you going to learn from this? Are you going to learn from this?
Very good. Stay all the way up. Very good. Any emotion comes up, and let me know when there is no emotion. You're before and above the event. Just let me know at any point that you can be above the event and there is no emotion in your body right now.
I think the emotion is compassion. Do I even let go of that? Yeah.
That's amazing. No, let that emotion is fine. Completely fine.
Okay.
There should just be no negative emotion connected to that event.
No.
Okay, good.
Compassion.
Good. Those are some good learnings. This is the fast track way I've done it. So what I want you to do now, Amy, is you're going to fly back, okay? You're going to come back all the way these 30 years, remain above. And if any event pops up that is connected to that event or a similar nature, remain in that position before that event. Remind yourself of these powerful learnings you got, and then make your way all the way back to now and come back into your body, into the room.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought of like Facebook requests with those people and, and having that guilt come up and I'm staying above it because you know what? Sometimes life just takes its course that it takes and it's all okay. Everything is a season. Everything happens for reasons that we don't always understand and I can't see their lives, but I can see mine and I
Very
can
good.
be right where I am. Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. And these are more learnings that are coming up. The key is to remain above. And if any emotion, negative emotion comes up, you can go high up, so high up that your entire timeline or your entire life looks like 1 inch long, like a grain of rice. This is
Wow.
how it can manipulate your reality. And you come back all the way when you're done, come back into the room and we're going to do a quick test.
Okay.
Can you smell popcorn, by the way?
I do kind of smell popcorn. What does that mean?
Good. Good. Oh, I'll tell you later. Okay. Now, what I'd like. What I'd like you to do is do a quick little test because we don't take this lightly. You need to be convinced, right? Go back to that event you told me about earlier.
Okay.
Now you go back. You can go right into the event if you like. Step into your body, see what you saw, hear what you heard, and feel what you felt. And notice if you feel that emotion, because if you did this properly, there should be nothing but that positive emotion of compassion or whatever else.
It does. It feels positive. I feel a little just detached and removed and a little more understanding about it, which is really what I desired. Absolutely what I desired. I've seen
Yeah.
it. My fiance, he is a two-time suicide survivor, and he would tell the story about being bullied. And the first time someone said to him, "You should just kill yourself," and he used to tell it on stage, but I could see him going back to it.
Back to it. The
Yeah.
decision that's been made there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was still in addiction cycles then, and it took him really doing the work and going through recovery to be able to tell that story without that attachment, and I feel like this is a tool for that exact thing, right? Are we gonna relive it every
Absolutely.
time? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we have some tools we add on top of that to lock it in. Now, one of the things I want to do with you, because since you've done this process, I want you to just seal it. So I want you to imagine a time in the future, an unspecified time in the future, where if something like this had happened, you would have had, unwarranted sadness or other negative emotions. So just imagine a time in the future, and as you do, notice if you react the same way or how do you react instead.
Do you mean if I had been faced with the thought of doing what I did?
Yeah. I just want you to set your brain there. Imagine any time in the future where if a similar event that happened back then, if it was to happen, that you would have experienced, had you not let go of it today, you would have experienced unwarranted negative emotions. And how do you react instead now if you imagine an event like that happening again?
Yeah, I would never do that again, ever. I would
Good.
just
This is just a little thing we do with your brain because it's very important. It's called future pacing.
oh.
After doing a process like that, we send your brain into a future. That's how we lock it in.
Wow. Oh, I like that. What's it called again?
This process, this is a limiting decisions process that I've just done a fast track version of it, but essentially we are disconnecting. Comes from timeline techniques. Yeah.
What was the future part called?
Our future pacing.
Future pacing.
Pacing.
Ooh, I've never heard of that technique. That is really, really cool. And that changes your story in a really interesting way.
Yes.
What do you
So
think about?
the whole idea of future pacing comes from neurolinguistic programming. In fact, it's used a lot in sales, in business, in public speaking, in therapy, because there's a process we do, Amy, in our school where we, listen to this one, where we help people create future memories in the now.
Oh, so here for it. So here for it. I've done this. But probably
There you
not the
go.
way you have. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, we have a very specific process, and you can imagine how important that is with relationships. Because if you've had past trauma, you need to create your future now because your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference in past and future. So what we do is we get you to create a memory. And really, what is a memory? Memory has pictures, sounds, feelings.
Yeah.
What else does memory have? It can be bright, it can be moving as opposed to still, it could be large, it could be small. So we look at all the breakdown and we get you to create a memory. You step into your body as though it's happening right now. We dial up the feelings. And this is something that a lot of the sports athletes, elite
Oh,
athletes
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what you do is we get you to, so the first part is associating, means you step into your body and look through your own eyes as though it's happening. Then there is a second piece to it. You have to remove yourself from that picture of the movie, and you need to see your body in the picture. Now you're seeing it like a movie scene. Then we get you to take it above your timeline, and we get you to take it to that future date, and there's a specific way in which you drop it. It's a little bit longer, this process, and there's, on your way back, there are certain things you allow to happen in your timeline, and that's how your brain gets directed to focus on the future anytime a problem hits rather than the past. Because that's where the brain goes all the time.
That is so interesting. The brain goes there, but we also go to worry and anxiety. So this is basically like a positive worry. only really, really thorough, I want to say, because you are not only like living it, which I think that's more what I've done, studying Joe Dispenza, whatever, right? And creating those future outcomes and feelings and really living and feeling it. But then on top of it, this pullback, where you're seeing it and then you go even higher. That is super interesting. And I'm very curious what that's done for you personally.
For me personally, almost, I want to go back in history, I had a traumatic life. Like nobody who's doing work like mine, just decided I'm going to have this career. Right? There's always a story, as you can imagine, a lot of adversities. And then, throughout life, I even when I got a level of success, I'm a father of 2 sons, by the way. My sons are both grown up. I've been married for 21 years. There's a lot of things that were going right, but there was always this void, this hole. Because there was, later on I realized it was the void of love, because I just didn't get as a child what I should have, as I look back in my life. And, I talk about this in my book, The Energy Cube Secret. I think you must read it, because if you're enjoying this aspect of how past events, they control our future, I've just been a little bit more technical in it. Anyway, so going through my life, you hear about these things, visualizations, and, I don't know, just imagining yourself as a person you want to be.
Sure.
We have tried, we all have tried those things, but I'm a technical guy, Amy. Like, I want the science, I want the technicalities. And once I got hold of this, I started to play with this. I started to completely populate my future. In fact, I've populated my future 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, even when I'm 75. I've already created it. Now I just have to see how much it varies to what I check on how much is the variation. So in that sense, whether it comes to our business, or the impact we want to have on the world, I would say I'm 80% on track as to what I put on there.
What about the aspect of letting go and releasing to better than you could ever imagine?
Letting go of
what you think your future should be, and releasing to perhaps something that is better and unexpected. Where does that
I like what you're saying there, and this is the, what do you call, the paradox, because this leads us to paradoxical thinking. In fact, I believe there is no absolute truth, and I believe in this thing called pulling from both directions, right? Because there's a sweet spot in there. We can't take only one side and not the other, and not completely ignore the other. I like what you said there. I believe in both these angles. One is be intentional about what you want, because you want your brain and your mind to support you, right? That's pure science. Studies after studies have shown that people who are intentional about what they want are more likely to move in that direction. Otherwise, we become aimless. So we want to use our conscious mind to decide that. But there is a second element here. Once you've planted it on there, you do let go, because that's what true manifestation is. You don't worry about the how. And if things don't work out that way, you have what you need to have, what's called flexibility of behavior. And so I like both those elements. And there is an element of mine that is just let go. I don't obsess about it. I don't think about it. I don't worry about if it doesn't happen. I just decide what I want, plant it on there, and then I have some direction in my mind. But at the same time, there is that natural, surrender. So you need to enjoy both.
I do too. And I just think it's like such an interesting kind of space to play with and explore. Here's an interesting space I've been kind of playing with. And I was talking, my my fiance is a very powerful manifester. He's a former athlete and so did a lot of envisioning work. And
Sure.
the other day I said to him, I don't think that we're really maximizing our together visioning, our together intentionality and manifestation power. And do you see people that really get on track with other people, or maybe you've done it? Do you see that amplify and like grow when we get on the same page together?
Oh, 100%. I mean, the concept that I'll utilize there is masterminding. Two
Oh,
minds or multiple minds are, um,
oh, is that what that term, when we say we're in a mastermind group, that's that's what that means? I didn't even really realize that. So, okay.
yeah, masterminding comes from the philosophy that when people who are in, so there are few prerequisites. It's like the meeting of the minds. They should be in harmony. So you can
Mhm.
imagine why a couple is best placed for that. The minds should be generally in harmony. They should meet regularly. That's what masterminding is. What happens is now they're no longer getting the power of only their mind. The theory is, from a woo-woo perspective, that you start tapping into the other person's subconscious mind. So if you take a mastermind, like I have a mastermind, we're a group of people and we meet once every 2 weeks. Number two, we are all in harmony. And I noticed that people start to get ideas that they otherwise wouldn't have. So they meet regularly and be in harmony and then have a vision. You start to get access to each other's minds if you believe in all of that, because where do thoughts go? Thoughts go into the ether. These people who say, I had an idea, oh my God, and they did nothing about it, and suddenly someone's done something about it. Why? Because if there was strong enough emotion attached to that thought, someone else will get it. But
Oh, yeah.
masterminding is being intentional about it. It's like I want someone else to access what's coming to me, and I want to access because it creates a new power. With couples, though, I have this concept. So if me and my wife, we have our own minds and we have our own decision-making abilities, but collectively we have this third entity. Let's call it your couple.
Mm.
Sometimes there's problems that we cannot solve. We will actually pull out a chair and have the your couple energy there and we consult. Make sense?
What? How does that
Yeah.
go? Tell me more.
It goes well because now we're both no longer trying to solve the problem looking at each other. We're looking at this external entity which is derived from both of us. And there are different insights and perspectives that can come by when there's a technique in NLP called perceptual positioning actually, where this concept comes from. Because you say you're in conflict with somebody, you look at yourself from the other person's eyes. You almost enter their body, so to speak, non-technically. You look at yourself, you hear your position. You then look at them and you let them speak. You did all of this in your mind. And then you step into a third position as an observer and you watch. Both the bodies need to be in the picture and you see both of you and the person you're in conflict with communicating. 99.9% of the time, the person with this technique comes out with a whole new perspective on how to solve this. I actually shared this for a leadership group recently, and they on a podcast. And the lady said that she's passed it on to senior executives and management, and it's being really thoroughly enjoyed right now because
I
you get more
bet.
insights. Yeah,
Yeah, I bet. Of course you do. And I mean, it fosters compassion. It fosters a whole new way of thinking, which is what this is all about. Okay. Well, so wait, real quick before we finish that. So this third chair with you and your wife, how do you get an answer? Or does it just pull you out of yourself enough to open up or?
correct, correct.
Mhm.
It answers come from us, but in that setting, the, we wouldn't have got the answer in that same way unless we did it, because we recognize and we've decided that there is an energy of ours. And I think that's what I would say with you and your husband. The first question was, together, absolutely together, manifestation is always stronger. Imagine if two people are putting a similar vision into their future. Two people are, you're holding that person and that vision in your mind. Which, by the way, leads me to a really, really cool point. It's coming up for me right now. I must share it. It's
What?
amazing. If someone holds you in their mind, it's affecting your future.
Okay.
You know,
Tell me
you,
more.
you know that whole adage that you become the average of the 5 people you hang around with?
Yeah.
I have a different way of explaining this. Who is holding you in their mind? What are the expectations of you? Because you will always rise to the expectations of the people you spend most time with. This is so true. In other words, in the quantum level, someone is super successful and they kick your ass and they keep you accountable. This is why certain people who have top level mentors, they eventually rise to the thinking and the expectation of the mentors. You'll realize that in the business world. But in your personal life, who's holding in your mind? Now, our family members do, our partners do, our children do, and some friends do. And that's why some people hold you in their mind. They don't want you to rise. They don't want you to do any better than you are, not because they don't like you, but because they don't want to lose you.
Mhm.
Most people are trying to have a relationship with who you used to be. It's not their fault because, and so the point I wanted to make here is like, who is holding you in their mind? Imagine being strategic about this. This has played a big role in my life, by the way. Who is holding you in their mind? Now, in your case, your listeners would as well,
Ooh,
right?
didn't think about
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
That one didn't even occur to me. Yeah. Yeah. And so tell me about the role it's played in your life. Does it make you seek out those people more? And then,
Absolutely.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The kind of people that I learn from, the kind of people that, that's where you want to be careful about what kind of clients you want. We are very
Yeah.
specific and strategic about the kind of people we love helping because they carry certain characteristics, means they love to learn, they love to grow, they are willing to take responsibility for their own universe. They
Mm.
stop blaming, and we help people get there. And we find that, because some people want to learn these techniques for the wrong reasons. We have no room for that in our school.
Like for
And then in your
manipulation or,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Like everything, even marketing most of marketing is manipulation, right? Everything can be manipulated. Most of marketing is manipulated. I saw a billboard the other day, a whole family's on the beach jumping up with Coca-Cola in their hands. That's poison.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is.
So people think, the reality is that that's only 1% of it. I mean, this field hypnosis, I mean, this has done wonders for my life, Amy, wonders for my students' life. We've been able to reset, right? We've been able to, whether you like it or not, you're experiencing hypnosis daily.
Oh,
If someone,
okay. Yes, you are. Okay, let's talk about this. First of all, let's define hypnosis right quick and tell me what it is and tell the listeners what it is, because so many times we think it's, those things we see on the stage where people like their heads fall over.
can I show you on a flip chart and then I'll talk it through? It's very
Yeah,
quick.
of course. Yeah,
That
absolutely.
might be better. Yeah.
Okay, great.
You happen to have caught me in the workshop in the studio today, sir.
Fantastic. Okay.
So you may have heard of this in different ways, especially if you've been doing personal development, but I'll make it very simple. Think of this as the mind. For the listeners, I'm drawing a big ovalish circle. Think of this whole thing as the mind, and it's going to start looking like a little rack, but let's call it the conscious mind, and let's call it the unconscious mind or subconscious. As you can see here, the dimensions are already showing you something. They're telling you a story, right? This guy, some schools say differently, is 5 to 10% of your life's results. Pretty simple. When you say, I'm going to do something, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to make money, that's your conscious mind. That's willpower, reason, logic. These are very important, 5 to 10%. Make no mistake, because we need this. If you're in accounting, if you're in engineering, if you're a builder, I mean, you can't just only rely upon that. But in general, your values, your beliefs, your emotions, your morals, and your stories, self-stories, are all held in an intelligence that we call the unconscious mind. As it happens, 90 to 95% of your life's results will come from here, because this guy provides the motivation inside, the drive. This is where your values are stored. So, and there is a imaginary, I call it the Great Wall of China, but just imagine like this. It's very important, because if I stood here and told you, Amy, I'm Superman, you don't even have to try, but your conscious mind is saying bullshit. And we need that. It's a bullshit filter. It's the guy that makes us believe or not believe something. Now, what happens when we go and see the Spider-Man movie, for example? We're in the cinema, we're watching the movie. If you only watched it from here, you're going to walk out, Because how is this guy throwing webs from his wrist? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But you do what's called suspend disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So put very simply, there are multiple ways in which one can reach this guy and make and lodge an idea here. Multiple ways, by the way. It can happen when you have a shocking incident. It can happen when you have a traumatic incident. It can happen because you believed something or someone who you totally respect. So when someone in authority who you look up to, who you respect, says something to you, it's basically immediate hypnosis. That's why when you go to a doctor, if a doctor tells you something, be very careful. Sometimes that operates as a hypnotic suggestion. But doing formal hypnosis is as simple as relaxing your physical and mental bodies to the point that you're able to have the words go straight into the unconscious. How do you explain a person who's been smoking for 30, 40 years comes and sees one of my trained people and lets go in 90 minutes?
No, that's wild.
We can keep wondering if hypnosis works or not. We can keep thinking of that one guy on the stage who did a little show. And there's also science behind it. The hypnotist is trained to identify people who like to be the center of attention. That's only 1%. But people are missing out. People are really missing out. You can lodge in here ideas, and it requires a certain process. And you are way more likely, because now you have built in that idea at the unconscious level. Because whenever there is a conflict between the two minds, the unconscious always wins. Always.
Yeah. Those deeply held things that we're attached to, right, are gonna take the lead.
A lot of people say, I want money, I love money, I want to make more money, I want abundance. We withdraw it out of them. What do you think of people who have money?
Right. They're bad. They're, the 1%, right? They've got
That's all in the unconscious. And so
for sure.
That's why most people don't end up with money freely. Because you got to go in there and just let it go. There are processes, techniques you can use, just let it go. Otherwise, stop saying you want money. Then you can completely feel like there's something wrong with you. It's not. You just have stuff in there. So hypnosis is, we for example, we have these powerful tools, double induction, that we give some of our students that rewire the unconscious around, for example, money. It's not about the money, but the reality is it's a tool we all need.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So if somebody wants to they're listening right now and they want to, okay, all right, I need to take some steps to hypnotize myself and break some unconscious beliefs. I don't even know what those are. What do you tell them?
If they want to do work with themselves, well, they needs a higher level of self-honesty. You need to really ask yourself, so look at the area of life, the context, whether it's love. Let's start with love, because that's where we started, right?
Yeah.
What do you truly believe right now? Here are the three things I will say to you, listeners. Here are the three things you want to think about. Your beliefs about yourself, about possibilities, and about other people. These three are really good places to start. What are your true beliefs about yourself, about possibilities for you, and about other people? Everything lies in there. Now you get those beliefs on a piece of paper. Really get them honestly. Stop lying to yourself. Put them down on paper. So let's say you're doing in the context of love. What do you really believe about yourself around that? Ask yourself, are you not feeling worthy? All the things we discussed. What is possible? And then about other people in general. Once you find those things, then you know that that's currently operating at the unconscious level. Then you need to take some steps to either organically reframe them, or use techniques, or use meditations, or use hypnosis. There are so many ways to overcome that. But the decision to let go of those must be made consciously. You can't fool yourself.
Oh, that's that's interesting. Yeah, you've got to make the conscious decision, but you got to be aware of them first, right? You got to be like, oh, I have a deep belief that people can't be faithful to one person for life, that monogamy is a joke, right? Or something like that, And those have been interesting to excavate for myself and get really honest with myself about. And so much of it came back to my own self-love and like getting really honest there, and that I didn't even really love myself.
Yeah. A lot of people end up in that position. It's very, very common. Very common. The other piece is, I just finished, Amy, like 2 days ago, one of the most powerful things I do, I love doing it, I only do it twice a year, is Introduction to Ancient Hawaiian Huna. I'm part of the lineage there. I'm authorized to deliver that. It's a lot of meditation, a lot of breath work, a lot of, we play the original ancient chants. And there's a lot of energy work if you're into it. This is extremely powerful. And I'm very cautious with it, very careful in how we do this and who we allow in. Anyway, one of the processes we do inside of it, and we do the original. Have you ever heard of Ho'oponopono?
Yes.
This is the original one. This is no commercial. This has got the chants and everything.
Wow.
And this requires, because in ancient Hawaiian, there were three forms of forgiveness: Hala, Hewa, and Ino. There are three different types of forgiveness levels. And this particular huna, and I'm sharing this with you because I think I want more people to hear this, the amount of difficulty people had in forgiving themselves, I've never seen anything like it. I think I had the biggest breakthrough. I had to work individually with people and we got them to the other side. This was extraordinary for me. You can see that I'm feeling it right now as to what I witnessed in the room. People have an extreme difficulty. In fact, that's going to be my message in 2025 in many different ways. In forgiving themselves, in forgiving past versions of themselves, in forgiving past mistakes. This is extraordinary. We can talk all day long about hypnosis and subconscious mind, and people are solving the not problem a lot of the time out there. Not only do you need to forgive others, you need to accept others' forgiveness. The big piece that I realized is forgiveness. I had business owners, I had moms and dads, I had very successful people, and I had people who also recently lost their child a few years ago.
Wow.
You can see what I'm feeling right now because I've had to do a lot of thinking over this over the last 2 days as to who we want to be as an academy, how we want to reach people, because we can help people all we want and give them the tools. But there's a concept in this field called secondary gain. This is going to be very powerful for your listeners. Secondary gain. Sometimes at the subconscious level, the benefit to holding on to the problem is greater than letting it go. It may not be immediately conscious. And we always ask our people, we actually have tools to extract the secondary gain, because you may not know it, but sometimes we get love, we get attention, we get sympathy. Sometimes, and this is a little bit controversial, even forms of depression remain longer than they need to due to the secondary gain attached to being that way. This is a very powerful one. Sometimes people don't have to do certain things. They don't have to take certain action. And so one of the things is if you're doing all the work and if you're not letting go, two things you need to ask yourself. Where are you not forgiving yourself? And this is a normal human phenomena, but what I'm blown away by is I never realized how big it is. And people put it under the sheets, but it's big. It's very big. And number two, what is the gain you're potentially, ask yourself, what is the potential gain of you holding on to this problem? Even not having money all the time, there could be a secondary gain to that identity of being helpless and broke. And I told you so. I cannot be helped because of all this stuff that happened to me. Sorry, have I gone too deep or are we good?
No, I totally agree with that. And I've heard a lot about that, but I've never heard it called secondary gain. And those are excellent points and questions. And it's just so powerful to look at your life and say, where am I not forgiving myself? Which is exactly kind of what we were talking about with my experience that I brought up, right? It's something that I wasn't forgiving myself for. And I've forgiven myself for a lot of shit over the years. But that one, 30 years, 30 plus.
30 years.
Yeah. And I'm still, it can still get me or could still get me. And so I don't know what I was getting from that, but it's an interesting question to ask and say, oh, okay, how can I explore this further and really get to the bottom of it and then let it go and then really truly forgive myself.
But I think, Amy, the problem is, and I think it's the conscious mind, the front mind, the thinking mind, whatever you want to call it. It's harder to resolve things organically at that level. It's like saying, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to wake up every morning. But that's willpower. It doesn't work for everybody. Like that really works with enough pain or enough pleasure or enough pain or enough inspiration. I think these tools, these ideas, they just, we're on a mission to spread it so fast, so far. We're actually launching a movement next year. We're calling it the Mental Rebellion. Means we are wanting people to literally fight against the limitations that are being put on us. Fight against this idea that we don't have control of our lives. Fight against, rebel against this victim mindset that we get stuck in, because that's the broader narrative coming from everybody. We want people to fight in the first that this not enoughness idea. There's not enough land, there's not enough water, there's not enough money, there's not enough love, because eventually that's transferring onto us and we feel that we're not enough. So we're launching that movement for that specific reason, and we have hundreds of our students that are getting involved, and it'll be a messaging movement, because if we keep believing we can't help ourselves, we cannot then. It's over. The game is over.
We believe you're right? And we have a lot more power than we'll give ourselves credit for so many times. So are we going to actualize that power or not? And that came to me toward the beginning of our conversation, and I was thinking we are so much more powerful, which is essentially the crux of what you're saying about everything. We have so much more, and that brain, that 90%, we are so much more powerful if we're willing to step into that.
We don't get taught this. We just don't get taught even.
No, we don't.
I was surprised that most people still don't know what a subconscious mind is. They're spooked out by it.
Really?
I used to think that everybody knows, but I'm astonished. Listen, there are multiple reasons why I shouldn't have existed, Amy. Multiple. And I didn't succeed at those attempts, just to let you know. And I'm so glad I didn't succeed at it, because there is a point at which you realize why you couldn't succeed in letting go of your own life. And when you do, you realize that how much power you have inside of you. And this is not some cheesy motivational statement. Like, we are not here to live only in suffering. Suffering has a value attached to it. We get something out, but we cannot. The amount of people, Amy, and I'm getting super passionate because I do this all year long. I do 19 events a year. There's a reason for it, and I never get tired. The amount of people that have held on to anger for 30, 40, 50 years, even against people who have passed away, and we help them let go of it, anger and sadness, in 15 minutes. And then they realize, oh my Lord, that's the last 40 years? Like, what the hell is happening? The system is designed in a way to keep us stuck, to keep us in fear, and to keep us in these negative emotions. They are a trap. Emotions are very good to feel, by the way, but you can't stay stuck in it from the past. That's our broad message, and that's what Mental Rebellion is about. And, when you tag me, I'm going to share that with you, because I think encourage your listeners to be in a rebellion about this, because broader narrative is everything is saying to us. Look at what happens in politics. Everything is telling us to depend.
Yeah. Yep. It's taking away our power. And so I love mental.
For the rant, by the way.
What? I love it. I'm so glad you did it. It seems like, you know what? We're right at time too. So it seems like a perfect place to end. But I do want to ask, is there anything that we missed or anything that you want to say before we leave and share how everyone can find you? Anything you want to add before we go?
I think the broader message is, and I think that's come through quite a lot in this episode, like we've all effed up in different ways, right? Number one. Number two, we've all had some adverse things happen to us. There is, a point at which nobody is coming to help you but you. The best day of your life could be the worst day of your life, could be the best day of your life if you chose to give it a new empowering meaning. And if you look at the greats in the world, that is the one thing that separates them from the rest. They all went through something, but they decided to change their self-story to move forward. And that applies to everybody. We must change the meanings. You change the meanings, you change your life. And there are tools to do it, and there are other ways spiritually, organically that can happen to people. But you gotta do it, and you should know it's done. Not faking it. Like, it's done.
No question. Oh, no going back. Like, wait, is it? No. Absolutely. Well, how can everybody learn more maybe about Mental Rebellion and about everything that you do and your events?
Look, neuromastersacademy.com for people who are in that path, in that journey. Go and have a look at the website. You can even download some stuff, speak to one of our team. We have a lot of master practitioners. Just figure out with them if this is an area for you, or at least, use that conversation to let go of any misconceptions, whether you work with us or not. Main thing is because we hold on to these misconceptions, and I believe a lot of humanity is missing out on these tools. The mental health system is failing, Amy.
Yeah.
We didn't need an 800-page report to tell us that. When I saw that, an 800-page report telling us the mental health, I'm like, yeah, I knew that in one paragraph. So you can do that. Second thing, our team is quite active on my Instagram account, which is Reg Malhotra Official. If you go on there and send a message and call it, I'm going to call this right now, Amy24. Call it Amy24. Just send a DM. My team will send you a wonderful video resource that will have some, actionable ideas for you right away. And that's thanks to Amy, because she has run this conversation really well. And I want to give this to your people.
Thank you so much. And I'll make sure all that is in the show notes as well. And I just want to say thank you so much. Really loved connecting with you and sharing your voice and your message. It's so powerful and so empowering and really changes lives. So thank you so much, Reg. It was wonderful to meet you.
Thank you, Amy. Good to be here.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for being here. Every time you step into this space, you are doing something to activate that next best you, to move in that direction, right? So thank you so much for turning up today. I love you so much, and you are making change. Follow me on Instagram at Real Amy Edwards, or access tons more at amyedwards.info. I love you so much. Till next time, keep shining bright. Thank you so much for being here. Please rate, review, and follow us. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Keep shining bright.